Eternity's Shadow by E. Thomas Canton. Copyright 2024 E. Thomas Canton. All rights reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic or mechanical, including photocopy, recording, or by any information storage and retrieval system, without written consent from the publisher. Credits. Voices by MURF.com. Sound effects from www.freesoundslibrary.com. And additional sound effects from www.zapsplat.com and pixarbari.com. Music by www.zapsplat.com and IB Audio.
I have known such terrible darkness in my life. It has strengthened me, made me smarter than I realized, and more determined than my enemies. Octavia Wilde. Helen Schaefer. Octavia Wilde, The Definitive Biography Volume 2. The voices were unclear at first. A second shock. Oh my God, they are still torturing me. But it only lasted a second. The fuzzy words became clearer, and I realized that the voice belonged to a man.
Again. Clear.
Another shock. My eyes flew open. The world came into focus. What happened to me? A doctor shone a penlight first in one eye, then the other.
Put her up on the slab.
He instructed as two paramedics picked me up and placed me on an examination table. Nearby, the doctor set up a portable table. On it, he placed his laptop before calling up the files they had on me. I knew this because my arrest photo displayed on the top left-hand side.
Good. You're back. You gave us a heart attack there. Well, we gave you one, but you get the point.
I had a heart attack. He turned to the Inquisitor.
I'll let you know when you can resume her questioning.
Everyone evacuated the room. He finished with his computer, came over to me and checked my pulse.
You must be a lot stronger than you look.
The doctor said as he reached for the syringe on the metal table next to me. I looked for his name tag or security pass. He had neither. I realized no one in this place had any identification on their uniform. It made it impossible for any inmate to identify anyone they could make a legal complaint against. If they could find no one guilty, everyone must be innocent. They could do anything to anyone with no accountability. The doctor looked at me. Or more to the point, he looked to make sure I still had the restraints on. He paused, set the syringe on the edge of the table by my head.
You have a bum ticker.
He said.
Don't know what's wrong. When they let you out. If they let you out, you need to get it checked out. Of course, if they decide to. Oh, what is their current euphemism? Decollate? No. Delist you. That won't be a problem because, well, they'll have executed you. They have you scheduled for vivisection.
What? I broke out in a cold sweat. This can't be happening.
They want to dissect your brain. Archbishop's orders.
He stopped again and stared like the devil at me.
You know you have pretty eyes.
He said. What was I supposed to say? Thanks. I kept quiet and watched.
When they're done with you, I'm going to make sure I get your corneas. My mother needs a new set. The old bat can't see a thing. And if I'm grabbing your eyes, what else can I use? I bet your DNA's in the system.
The doctor turned his back on me as he returned to his computer.
That'll take a few minutes to compile. Missy, you are going to pay for a nice vacation. Maybe a new car. My dear, I love you.
Okay. That was one of the more revolting things I had ever heard. You know, one decent thing came from being locked up in the university so often as a student. After a while, I learned a trick to get out of the restraints. Keep in mind these weren't handcuffs. They were only restraints, and they were flawed. Still, these seemed to be much better restraints than I remembered. I tried to be as motionless as possible, but it didn't work. I soon found that I had wiggled myself to the edge of the bed and knocked the metal table. The syringe clattered to the floor. His head spun like a top. But like most people, he looked at the source of the noise first. Not me. This gave me the half second I needed to jerk myself away from the table. He looked at my sweet innocent face and paused before picking up the needle from the floor, never once taking his eyes off of me. Come on. Accidents happen. You placed it too close to the edge and it fell. That's all. Do I look like someone who could escape? He set it back on the table. But this time, he placed it closer to the center. The doctor looked at me for the longest time. He spun back around to his laptop.
That scar. Seems you've suffered some head trauma.
He said. He was only staring at my scar. That's all. I breathed an enormous sigh of relief in my mind.
Doesn't look as though there's permanent damage. So that shouldn't be an issue. If I pay off the right person, I can make a fortune selling off your organs.
Is there anyone here who isn't corrupt? I did it. I'd loosened my restraints enough to squeeze my hands through. It's a lot tougher than it sounds when you're not trying to make any big, jerky movements. I lifted the needle into my hand while sliding off the examination table. The noise of my bare feet hitting the floor sounded like loud slaps to me. I looked up, wondering if I could inject him if he came at me. If it came down to a fight, in my condition, I'd lose. The doctor didn't turn. Did he not hear me? I tiptoed toward him, holding the syringe in front of me like a knife.
Okay. Personal background. You were quite the troublemaker at the university.
He turned to me, and in a panic, I jerked my arm forward.
Locked you up a few times.
And that's when I injected him in the neck. As I suspected, the syringe only contained a sedative. Oh well. I took his lab coat and found his identification inside. What do you know? He was a real doctor, after all. I discovered my personal effects in a box, and grabbed my necklace, Fenn's sweater, and left the rest there. Putting on the sweater, the doctor's coat, pants, and security pass, I tied my hair back. The corridor looked clear, so I closed the door and began hyperventilating. I knew I had to do this without thinking, so I put a pencil behind my ear, grabbed his glasses and his laptop, and walked through the door like I owned the place. Now what? Keeping my head down to not attract attention, but also because I couldn't see 2 centimeters in front of me with those stupid glasses. He must have been almost blind. Looking over the top of the glasses, I recognized being on the ground floor. Walk out the front door. Okay. That should work. Nice and simple. I made my way through a set of doors to the front lobby only to see the man who brought me there waiting at the front desk. He looked up, and I turned around. Passing back through the set of glass doors, I saw, in the reflection, that he had noticed me, and had walked toward me. I walked faster. So did he.
Security.
By the time the word escaped him, I had vanished from his view. Only a second or 2 would pass before the security responded. 30 seconds before he could explain things to them. A few more seconds before they could react if they were on their toes. I don't know whether I felt optimistic or pessimistic about the time. I only knew that I had to make the most of it. But I didn't have the strength or the stamina to run. Not to mention that trying to run around right after a heart attack wasn't the best idea. I slowed down with each step. My mind fell off a precipice into a deep, bleak haze. I leaned against the wall, hoping I wouldn't faint. The alarm hadn't sounded, so they hadn't locked down the prison yet. I had to find another exit before they did. Looking around in a frenzy, I saw no exit signs anywhere. The only sign I saw read, "Authorized personnel only." I didn't know where it led, but I bet the man hadn't been authorized either. Swiping the doctor's security pass through the lock, it flashed red and beeped. I guess the doctor wasn't either. The door remained closed. Now what? Security approached and took the doctor's pass from me.
Sorry, ma'am.
He said. I couldn't run from this guy. This was it for me.
System's old. Doesn't always work the way it should.
The security officer took out his own pass and opened the door for me. Thank you, officer.
No problem, doctor. You all right?
No sleep last night.
Know the feeling.
Thanks again. I walked through the door before the man caught up with me. With the door shut, I fell against the wall. I needed to rest. It would have been paradise to lie down, if only for a moment. Still no alarm. Nothing had changed. It's possible the man concluded he'd been mistaken, or the security was investigating instead of panicking. Given what this place is like, I'd bet my money on the former. My mind raced to the doctor I left sleeping like a baby. They hadn't discovered him yet. If they had, the alarms would have sounded. Stumbling along the filthy corridor, I once again heard the disembodied screams of the tormented inmates. I realized I got turned around and now stood back where I had begun. I'm dead. That's why the area had been restricted. They did the interrogations in these rooms. This place is an effing maze. I'm never getting out of here. A couple more steps and I fell through a door onto a moldy tile floor. I gasped for air as cold water ran off my face. Panic. Somebody said something. What? As I opened my eyes, I looked into the bright lights. The interrogation chamber. Was everything else only a dream? My heart sunk so far down into nothingness that I cried.
Are you okay?
I'll call a doctor.
Faces looked down at me. I didn't recognize them. They were inquisitors, but without their hoods. No, I heard myself say. Why did I say no? The doctor. I left him sleeping. How long ago was that? If they went to find him.
What happened?
Asked the first man while the second helped me sit up. I was in a washroom. I fell through a door. It must have been a washroom door. 2 men. I fell into the men's room. How could I justify lying unconscious on the floor of a men's toilet? I'm pregnant. I fainted, I lied.
Are you sure you don't want us to find another doctor?
No. Give me a moment. I'll be fine. I'll find one myself. Thank you.
Why are you in the men's room?
Asked the first inquisitor. I'm sorry, I said. I'd never been here before, so I didn't know where to go for help. I guess I must have passed out. My knees wobbled as I stood, so the nice torturers helped steady me. How long was I asked.
We don't know.
Are you sure you're okay?
The other asked. I'm fine. Really? Thank you. I only need a couple of minutes to regain my strength. With that, they hurried back to their red robes and instruments of pain. I never understood the duality. On one hand, the inquisitors were quite concerned about my well-being, but then they went back to torturing people for a living. I didn't get it. How could people be like that? How did they justify it? Were they believers in the extreme? And that justified everything? Or were they convinced anyone brought to them must have been a de facto criminal who deserved what happened to them? How could this be a career choice? A paycheck? They made a living this way so they could raise their children in pleasant neighborhoods and send them to the best schools. And what did these caring fathers teach those children as they grew up? What lessons could kids learn from men like them? Okay. I had to stop thinking about them and get out of there right away. There could be no way of knowing how much time I had until they found the doctor. I opened the door to look around. Security flooded the corridors. Something had changed. I guess they realized I'd gone missing. I closed the door and searched for a window. No luck. I could only see an air vent. There's no way in hell I'm going to fit in there. My options being limited, I stood on the tank of the toilet to check how the vent attached to the wall. I opened the doctor's laptop case to search for something to undo the screws, but found nothing useful. So instead, I did the only reasonable thing I could. Grabbing his laptop from inside the case, I smashed it into the vent. Again, and again until it did enough damage that I could tear the vent from the wall. To regain what little strength I had left, I needed to stop. With a deep breath, I stood on the toilet tank and tried to stuff my head into the way too small air vent. The door opened. Why didn't I lock it? Because that would have made sense. With any luck, I can squeeze my way into this vent before he sees me,
Excuse me.
said the polite intruder.
You know they make those things that small for a reason.
Wait a minute. I know that voice. I turned to see the minister standing there. Why? He wasn't under arrest, which kind of surprised me.
What are you doing here?
He asked, as surprised to see me as I had been to see him. I looked at the laptop. No, I couldn't hit him with that. It had already suffered too much damage. Duh. Trying to escape.
No. I mean, what are you doing alive? I thought you were dead.
I was dead. So that's what happened.
Ah. Never mind.
He changed the subject.
Where were you planning on escaping to?
I grabbed the lid of the toilet tank, but my limp arms refused. Beating up that air vent hadn't helped either. Neither had it gotten me anywhere. Another world, I responded, my throat hurting from all the screaming I had done.
Empty room.
He left the question dangling in the air while I scanned the area. You need the proper key to get in,
Fen didn't have it.
he said. That's not possible. She had the key with her. Why didn't she use it? Because I asked her not to. Not under any circumstances. She had one. This surprised the minister. That's when I saw it in the corner behind him. The plunger, I said, pointing behind him. The minister handed it to me, and I tried to smash his head open. The minister reached out and grabbed my arm before it connected with his skull.
I'll make you a deal. I'll help you out of this prison if you help me out of this world.
He bargained. What?
Still in shock, are we?
Pretty much. Yeah. Where's Fen? His hesitation suggested something bad had happened.
There's nothing I can do to help her anymore.
He said.
The question is, do you want out of here or not?
Why does she need help?
Fen never had the proper key. She couldn't enter the Nexus.
Stated the minister. My stomach tightened as I realized my request that night had gotten Fen into danger. I shouldn't have asked that of her. I am such an idiot.
And let's say the Archbishop wasn't happy. How much longer before they realize you're missing?
We both shook with a violent, unexpected jerk as a deafening klaxon screamed out over the intercom. Right about now, I said, thinking it remarkable it took them this long to sound the alarm.
Thanks.
Said the minister, not without sarcasm. He cracked the door open and peered out.
What the?
That wasn't the reaction I expected. I staggered to the door and saw something inexplicable. Everyone pushed and shoved each other as they hurled themselves towards the exit in a mass panic. No matter how you looked at the Office of Admissions, it showed humanity at its worst. Okay, whatever this is, it's not my fault,
That would be a first.
the minister said. About to issue a sharp retort, I stopped when I realized he was right. Besides, I had a better idea.
What are you doing?
Asked the minister. There's opportunity in confusion. I threw myself headlong into the surging tide of humanity. The minister followed suit, and the current swept us along all the way outside. Not having the strength to keep up with the tide, I clung to the minister like a life preserver in the ocean. In their panic, no one questioned our presence among them. We were only two more bodies. Once outside, we saw that the gendarmes' emergency task force had cordoned the entire prison off. They were all staring behind us at the prison. This couldn't all be because of me. Ahead of us, gendarmes directed the prison staff where to panic.
What's going on?
Panted the minister as he slowed us down. That was a good question. I stopped dead in my tracks and looked behind me. What I saw must have made my jaw hit the ground, because I saw the minister's face as he watched me. He turned in the same direction. Now, if I remember the events of the day, I opened a door into a parallel universe. Been tortured, killed, and resurrected. And as odd as all that may sound, I understood it. But what the hell? Once outside,